Are you having the same argument with your spouse over and over again? What if I told you what you think you're arguing about isn't at all what you're arguing about? Hello, my name is Caneisha Berry, and I help Christian couples transform their marriage with the use of biblical truths and emotional awareness. Today, I want to talk to you about that fight that you keep having. Different day, same fight. The argument over the little things, the trivia things in your marriage. Things like not putting your clothes in the hamper or leaving the lights on. Or perhaps if your husband is like my husband, he leaves the cabinets open. That used to drive me crazy, but it doesn't anymore. And I want to share with you why this is happening. Many times when our spouse do the little things and it trigger big emotions, it's because what they're doing is triggering thoughts and beliefs about ourselves that we have struggled with for a long time that maybe we hadn't addressed. So perhaps the thought or the feeling that you're getting when the lights are left on or the hamper is full of clothes and he's not picking up the sock that's on the floor. Or the little things like I've heard women argue or debate about the right way to load the dishwasher. Is that really what you're arguing about? I want to challenge you to think about or to consider maybe what's triggering these emotions are thoughts like, he doesn't respect me. He never listens. No matter what I do, things aren't working. Or I'm not important to him. We will see a situation and address a bigger issue to the situation than what's actually happening. And I want you to start recognizing that perhaps the emotion of dissatisfaction, discontentment, and disappointment may be coming from a bigger issue. So maybe it's really not about him leaving his clothes on the floor. Perhaps it's not really about the lights being left on. I want you to see these moments as invitations. An invitation from God to deal with what may really be causing the disappointment and the upset in your marriage. I want you to do me a favor. Leave a comment down below to let me know what are the things that trigger you. What are the things you find you're constantly arguing about? And maybe for many of you, it's the bigger issues like finances and decisions about your children or how you all are spending time or not spending time. I want you to know, even though those issues are really big, those also can trigger those same feelings of like fear of not being respected or worried about not being valued or concern of not being important enough. And when you get to the bigger issue, that belief of you're not important, that belief that you aren't being valued, we can now shift and change not only your internal thoughts and beliefs, but the conversation that you're having with your spouse. We can shift that conversation to something that is more healthy, and that will help you produce the results that you really do want to have in your marriage. How are you going to do that? One, you're going to start by doing exactly what God's words tell us to do. He invites us to renew our mind daily. So in order for you to renew your mind, you must first start examining the thoughts and the beliefs that you have that's causing you to really feel unappreciated, devalued. And here's the clue. I need you to go deeper than believing that those thoughts are only about your spouse. If your focus is only on what your husband is doing or what your wife is doing that's causing you to feel this way, you're going to miss the point. You're not going to have the opportunity to truly transform, one, who you are, two, so that you can then begin to transform the marriage. So ask yourself, when the lights are left on, why am I so upset? Why am I so angry? Your first thought may be because the light bill is high and we're trying to save money or we don't have enough money. And you'll go down that rabbit hole. But I want you to go a little bit deeper. What is it you're really feeling when you've asked your husband or your spouse to turn the lights off over and over again, or pick up the sock off the floor, or those little things that you feel like you keep having to repeat? What are you really feeling when he or she doesn't do those things? Is it possible you're feeling unheard? Is it possible that you feel disrespected? Because if they loved you, if they respect you, this is the story we tell ourselves. If they love me, if they respect me, they would do these things that's important. But perhaps you want to go deeper. Why do I connect my value to little things like the lights being left on or not being heard? When you begin to do that deeper work, This is the invitation where God is saying, hey, I know as God, He knows what you may be dealing with, what you're feeling is unappreciated, not seen, disrespected. And He's inviting us to renew our mind to know that you're always accepted, you're always respected, you're always loved in Him. And when you get into that place in your mind and in your heart and in your body, that regardless of the lights being left on, regardless of the fact that my spouse isn't doing what I think they should be doing at this moment, I'm still safe, I'm still secure, I'm still respected, I'm still loved. When you get there, you can begin to now communicate from a place of peace, love, and joy. Not that you have to be happy in this communication, not that you have to dismiss your feelings, but when you communicate from the place of peace, where you're clear about what it is that's really triggering you, now you can have a conversation with your spouse that's different than, why do you keep leaving the lights on? The conversation can move to, hey, it really makes me feel devalued when I work really hard to keep the house clean or keep the lights off or do our budget, and the light bill is really high. And all I'm asking you to do is turn it off. Can we talk about what are some things we can do to remind you to turn the light off? Or perhaps you'll get to the place where I am. What I absolutely know is that if my husband goes into the kitchen, he's going to most likely leave a cabinet or drawer open. He works really hard not to do it now because I brought it to his attention several times. However, I'm at the place where now that doesn't bother me because I'm clear that his leaving the drawer open or leaving the cabinet open he's not doing it to offend me, to upset me, to disappoint me. It's just something he does. Like his mind is going a mile a minute about what he's doing, so he doesn't even realize that the cabinet is open. So I've decided that little things like that, that's my job. It's my job to close the cabinet. Not because I'm less than my husband, but simply because it's not worth the argument. Also, because I don't put my value in him closing a cabinet. If you begin to learn how to separate your emotions and what you really need from the issues and from these small problems, you can learn to discuss and recognize what is the problem and what is the emotion that I'm feeling and what is it that I really need to have a conversation with my husband or my spouse about, instead of attacking every little thing and making it a big thing. So I promise you, what you're arguing about is usually not what you're arguing about. So I want to encourage you that if you really want your marriage to change, you must learn to communicate the disappointment, the outrage, or the frustration in a way that feels safe to your spouse so that they can give you the attention you need and not go into defense, so that you can be heard and understood. It is important that you learn to express your needs and not your expectations, because expectations leads to more arguments. But communicating effectively your need, I need to feel important, I need to feel heard, I need to feel valued, I need to feel respected, and this is how you can do this. When you communicate at that level, you have the opportunity to move your marriage into a better place. So remember, when you change the way you think, you change the way you love. So keep thinking your way to a better marriage.